Hey guys, vocal coach Ken Taylor here, and today I want to talk about a quick tip that will help you learn how to sing high notes better. Now, almost everybody that I talk to says, hey, one of the number one questions is, Ken, how do I sing high notes? And it's a bit of a complex process, but there are a handful of things that have to be in place, and this is one of them that I'm going to share with you right after this quick intro. All right, so how do we learn to be able to sing high notes? The quick answer is you have to be able to access your mix. Now, that's the quick answer, it's not the easy answer. Accessing your mix voice is a little bit of a complex thing to negotiate. So let's talk about one principle that will help you to do that better. And the idea here is in order to have a really balanced mix, you have to have a balanced chest voice and you have to have a balanced head voice. Said differently, you have to have a balanced heavier coordination and a balanced lighter coordination. So let's talk for a minute about how you can do that. So I'm going to start with chest voice because that's where most people start. Most people speak in chest voice. Chest voice is just that tone that we usually have in our speaking range. We can take it up to a certain point and then no more. The issue that most singers have that are trying to sing high notes is they take chest voice and they take that and they push higher and higher and higher till they get to the point of yelling, and all of a sudden they have no more room that they can go. They lower their ceiling by only using chest voice range wise. All right, so the thing is, in order to transition from chest voice into a mix or into any type of other, in order to thin out and go higher, you have to thin out and go higher. In chest voice, your vocal cords are coming together more completely. You have a deeper closure. As we go higher, that starts to thin out some, and it has to. Otherwise, we just have too much musculature involved. And one of the main issues that people have when they're balancing their chest voice is they get down there, it feels boomy and resonant, and they press into it, they push into it too much. And then when they start going higher, that extra weight just does not compute. It does not go in transition into a higher range. So they end up having a much lower range because all they're trying to do is force through it. So when it comes to chest voice, keep it in a speaking range. Depend on the resonance to create the sound. That's one of the reasons I talk about like speak like you sing or sing like you speak. Don't make it too much bigger. Let the resonance create the fullness of the sound, not extra squeeze. The more you squeeze, the more you lower your range. Okay, that's just the way that it is. All right, but do those things and that'll help you balance your chest voice better so that when you start going up higher, you can negotiate and allow it to thin out. Now, just because you're thinning out doesn't mean that we're not maintaining the same degree of air, outward intention of airflow. It doesn't mean that we're not taking good advantage of resonance. Those things have to be constant. Now let's flip that. Let's go over to head voice. In order to balance your head voice, you can't press it too hard once again, because once again, these cords, those vocal cords start to really thin out. It's just the edges that are touching up on the top end, coming together rather to create that sound. So when you're in head voice, you have to allow it to thin out. In head voice, by the way, if you're not familiar, think of Mrs. Doubtfire, hello, or Mickey Mouse, up boy, yeah, this sound up here, it's light and it's got a lot of release to it. Okay, so the goal with balancing your head voice, first off, number one, people usually don't sing in it. Unless you're a soprano in a choir or maybe a tenor, you just don't have the range, you flip. Most people don't really work out their head voice. They don't really learn to balance and make full their head voice full. So that's probably issue number one. But when you're doing that, in order to balance your head voice, you want to do a handful of things. One, we need that steady and consistent flow of air. I know I preach it constantly, but we need it. Two, focus on getting as much resonance in there as you can. That woo, as opposed to right, will go a long way. When you find the right shaping, you find the right airflow, and you start transitioning back down, then you can find that transition into back into chest voice. That's when you've found your mix, right? But focus on really making head voice nice and full, not holding back on air, not squeeze, not held, not force. But use that bloominess with top-down type of scales, and that'll help you a ton in the way of carving the path of right singing that we need in order to develop that mix. So I hope this makes sense. Just really quickly to recap, in order to be able to sing high notes, you've got to be able to have a mix. In order to have a solid balanced mix, you have to have a solid chest voice. You have to have a solid head voice. And in order to make that solid chest voice, don't over push. Long story short, in order to take advantage of resonance, steady flow of air. In order to have a solid head voice, really focus on accessing a good amount of resonance. Still don't over push, but keep that steady flow of air. And then start working on top-down exercises to make that transition. And if you do those things, I think you're going to find a lot of good success there. So I hope this helps, and we'll be seeing you around.